Safety first. And second. And throughout the all-new Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year.
Dealing with psoriatic arthritis pain was so frustrating.
My skin, it was embarrassing.
My joints, they hurt.
The pain and swelling.
The tenderness.
The psoriasis.
I had to find something that worked on all of this.
I found Cosentix. Now, watch me.
Real people with active psoriatic arthritis are getting real relief with Cosentix. It's a different kind of targeted biologic. Cosentix treats more than just the joint pain of psoriatic arthritis. It even helps stop further joint damage. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms. If your inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to, serious allergic reactions may occur.
And feel better.
Now, watch me.
Get real relief with Cosentix.
Let me ask you something. Can the past help you write the future? Can you feel calm in the eye of a storm? Can you do more with less? Can you raise the bar while reducing your footprint? For over 100 years, we've been answering the questions of today to meet the energy needs of tomorrow. Southern Company.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
We offer a free book on mesothelioma. Call for the free book and receive so much more. Call 1-800-831-3700.
It's one of the things I have been touched by and sort of healed by the last 2 months is just people having real conversations with me about loss and grief and their pain. And I find it, I'm a WASP, we're taught to sort of push all our emotions deep down inside and pretend everything's great. But it's nice to actually kind of relate to somebody on that and talk about something other than this mishigas.
Well, I think when you meet someone who's had a loss, you have two options. One is to say, I'm sorry for your loss, which is a perfectly lovely thing to do. But if you can't share your experience, then they're not alone.
Well, it's always interesting to me how when I bring it up, meeting somebody for the first time, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry to bring it up," and as if what they don't realize
forget
is
the person.
I'm thinking about it all the time. I mean,
Exactly.
it is, as you said,
Exactly.
it is, it's one of my arms. I mean, it is an extension of who I am.
Quite possibly for the rest of your life.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, it's been 31 years. More since my dad, and there's not a day that goes by. I don't think.
To the point sometimes where I go like, why is nobody asking me about this? Honest to God, like my brother's died 45 years ago, and sometimes I go like, how come nobody's asking me about Paul? But how would they know to ask? They don't know I'm thinking about it.
Right. And they would be uncomfortable to ask. I actually, this is going to sound weird, but for a long time, and probably still to this day, wish that I had a scar. I wish I had like a scar.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, like more like a Bond villain, like running down my eye, my face. That's unavoidable for people to see because it would just be a silent signal to everybody I meet that I'm not the person I was meant to be, or I'm not the person that I started out being.
But you're entirely the person you were meant to be.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe this is a warped version of
So there's another timeline with a happier Anderson Cooper?
Yeah. No. There's not. It doesn't exist in an alternate universe. But yes, I guess.
I guess that's what I mean about like.
But that's your faith.
My experience.
That is
my experience, and for example of my mother,
right.
And from what I read and experience of my particular faith, extremely imperfectly, admittedly, is that there isn't another timeline, and this is it. And the bravest thing you can do is to accept with gratitude the world as it is, and then, as Gandalf says, so do all people who are in such times.
You told an interviewer that you have learned to, in your words, love the thing that I most wish had not happened.
remember.
You went on to say, what punishments of God are not gifts? You really believe that?
Yes. It's a gift to exist. It's a gift to exist. And with existence comes suffering. There's no escaping that. And I guess I'm either a Catholic or a Buddhist when I say those things, because I've heard those from both traditions. But I didn't learn it that I was grateful for the thing I most wish hadn't happened, is that I realized it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, and it's an oddly guilty feeling.
It doesn't mean you
I
are
don't,
happy.
want, I don't want it to have happened. I want it to not have happened.
Right.
But if you are grateful for your life, which I think is a positive thing to do, not everybody is, and I'm not always, but it's the most positive thing to do, then you have to be grateful for all of it. You can't pick and choose what you're grateful for. And then, so what do you get from loss? You get awareness of other people's loss.
Well, that's true.
Which allows you to connect with that other person,
right.
Which allows you to love more deeply and to understand what it's like to be a human being, if it's true that all humans suffer.
Right.
And so, at a young age, I suffered something so that by the time I was in serious relationships in my life, with friends, or with my wife, or with my children, is that I have some understanding that everybody is suffering. And however imperfectly, acknowledge their suffering and to connect with them and to love them in a deep way that not only accepts that all of us suffer, but also then makes you grateful for the fact that you have suffered, so that you can know that about other people. And that's what I mean. It's about the fullness of your humanity. What's the point of being here and being human if you can't be the most human you can be? I'm not saying best, because you could be a bad person and a most human. I want to be the most human I can be. And that involves acknowledging and ultimately being grateful for the things that I wish didn't happen, because they gave me a gift.
Well, one of the things my mom would often say is that she said, I never ask why me. Like, why did this happen to me? She would always say, why not me? Why would me be exempt from what has befallen everybody, countless others over the centuries? And I think that's another thing that has helped me think, yeah, of course, why not me? This is part of being alive. I mean, this is the suffering is the sadness, suffering. These are all you can't have happiness without having loss.
And in my tradition, that's the great gift of the sacrifice of Christ, is that God does it too. That you're really not alone. God does it too.
I heard you say something once. I just thought it was funny. You said you were saying that you don't proselytize because something about I'm going to mull it, but it's basically that you don't proselytize. More Jesus for me.
Exactly. I don't really proselytize. I don't necessarily want to make anybody from my point of view, more Jesus for me.
But
Here at the old heaven buffet. So I don't even have a well-defined enough cosmology to have a sense of what's going to happen. But I want to talk about that gifts of God. What punishments of God are not gifts. That's actually, I'm quoting Tolkien there. That's not me. That's Tolkien, because in the Tolkien mythos there are elves and men, which are the children of Iluvatar, which is the one God within the Tolkien mythos.
And the elves live forever.
Elves live forever. They are part of the world. Whom do we know who's an expert on all things Lord of the Rings? Folks, when I spent my entire teenage years reading all of Tolkien, not just The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, I'm talking Farmer Giles of Ham, Smith of Wootton Major, Leaf by Niggle. I knew I was preparing myself for something important. Why else would I ignore all my classwork, abandon sports, and achieve a paleness I have yet to shake off?
Your mom studied theater, wanted to be an actress.
Yes, she was going to Carnegie.
Was that something that, she was then in Haiti for reasons I'm not sure which effect.
I think it was Haiti. It was in the Caribbean.
And she got really sick with the tropical disease.
Yeah, like classical, like a rare tropical disease, almost like a cartoon of a disease. And she almost died.
But in that process of recovery, ended up
my dad
getting
said,
married.
"Will you marry me?"
Right.
And she, instead of having, acting career, she started her own theater company, which has 11 children.
And amazing, that's how it was. But did her desire to act, which was then given up to have this family, was that something that you absorbed?
It seems obvious that that would be one of my motivators.
Right.
That me, with my mom slash
Ward?
buddy, in a way, like we became very close friends, that I would do this in some way for her, but it's just self-evident, right? Did not occur to me. Did not occur to me for many years. It really wasn't until she died that I realized a lot of what I did was still going back to making her happy from those early years after Dad and the boys died. Like, we remember distinctly when she left for the first time, like that was like a year later or something like that. But that's inside of you as a young person. You absorb that and digest that, but aren't necessarily aware of that until much later. I mean, when my sister Mary said a very interesting thing after Mom died, is that we were all going through this normal grief of my mother's death. And as I said after she died, like, we were so lucky to have her for so long, but how long we had her?
92,
92, exactly. But that, it might seem selfish to want more of someone you've known so long, but, it merely amplifies the enormity of the room, whose door is now so quietly shut. Like, you can't ever open that door again. But on top of that, we realized, now we also lost Dad and the boys. In some ways, we were here for her because of her loss of her husband and her children. And when she went, she kind of took them with her, in a way. And so we all, or at least I know I've talked to a couple of my brothers and sisters about this, but I assume it's a fairly general thing, is kind of re-experience that. And there had been this delayed dealing with all of that over 40 plus years. And make her laugh.
At Fidelity, we help you prepare for the unexpected with retirement planning and advice for what you need today and tomorrow. Because when you're with Fidelity, there's nothing to stop you from moving forward.
Donald Trump failed as a businessman. He borrowed billions and left a trail of bankruptcy and broken promises. He hasn't changed. I started a tiny investment business and over 27 years grew it successfully to $36 billion. I'm Tom Steyer, and I approve this message. I'm running for president because unlike other candidates, I can go head to head with Donald Trump on the economy and expose him for what he is, a fraud and a failure.
I'm making brains for ears. I'm helping protect critical infrastructure from cyber attacks.
I'm working on flying taxis. I'm raising air pressure to help lower germ levels. Seriously, flying taxis.
At Honeywell,
We make lots of incredible things.
but mostly we make the future.
Tomorrow, have a ladies' night out.
Your wife ran up a large bar in town.
I probably did get a little carried away.
And go see the comedy that will have you saying,
Wow.
What is going on with this family right now?
"Where'd you go, Bernadette?" Rated PG-13.
Thanks to Priceline working with top airlines to turn their unsold seats into amazing deals, sports fans are seeing more away games.
Yeah!
Is that a fire hazard?
It's actually just a fire.
Priceline. Every trip is a big deal.
Now that you have new Dr. Scholl's Massaging Gel Advanced Insoles with softer, bouncier gel waves, you'll move over 10% more than before. Dr. Scholl's, born to move.
Let's be honest. You don't really talk about your insurance unless you're complaining about it. You go on about how...
It's so confusing, it hurts my brain.
Yeah, I hear you. Or you say you can't believe.
How much of a hassle it is.
And tell anyone who listens. She said it's so expensive.
Tell me about it.
Yes, I'm telling people at home. That's why Esurance is making the whole experience surprisingly painless, so you never have to talk about it unless you're their spokesperson. Esurance, it's surprisingly painless.
The most successful individual in the history of American fashion. Halston.
Halston. I'm Halston.
He came like a king.
I took Halston to Studio 54.
He fell in love with it right away.
They lived out a lot of their fantasies. Drugs, sex, and rock and roll.
Presented by Volkswagen.
At Beaches, the only thing better than doing it all is sharing it all. Experiencing life's most precious moments. Exploring things you've never done before, but always wanted to. Where the promise of a perfect tomorrow happens every day. Beaches all-inclusive family resorts, bringing families together, one memory at a time. Call 1-800-BEACHES.
Guys come in all shapes and sizes. There is no normal for everyone, but there is a normal for you. If, like thousands of other guys, you find that your normal isn't so normal anymore, it could be an addressable medical condition called Peyronie's disease, or PD. A curve with a bump that bothers you isn't normal and should be checked out by a urologist, because you don't have to accept this as your new normal. Find a urologist at learnaboutpd.com.
The stories behind the movies we love. Sunday night on CNN.
Can you love your enemies? Can you love the people you dislike?
You certainly should. You certainly should. I don't know. I suppose you can. I've seen people do it.
Do you try?
I've seen people do it. I don't hate. I don't. I try not to hate. Like people come on the show and say, like, "No, I know you hate Trump." I'm like, no, I just don't trust the cat. And yes, I just said cat. Daddy-O, can you dig it? Are you hip to that scene, Daddy-O? Okay. Yeah.
I think that's how we'll end. Thank you. It was really a pleasure talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
Thank you.
Anderson Cooper, everybody. We'll be right back.
This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. You know what's going on, right? We've seen it time and time again from this president. Distract and deflect, his old bag of tricks. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. Pay no attention to what you're seeing with your own eyes and hearing with your own ears. But the thing is, this time, the president may have to work a lot harder to distract you. Because what he wants you to ignore is the economy and the warning signs of a looming recession that could hit you right in your wallet. That's what he wants you to ignore. Just listen to what he said at this rally just a little while ago. It was in New Hampshire.
You have no choice but to vote for me because your 401ks, down the tubes, everything's going to be down the tubes. So whether you love me or hate me, you got to vote for me.
Okay, well, that's quite a re-election pitch. The president's distraction campaign revved up this morning with the president tweeting this. It would show great weakness if Israel allowed Representative Omar and Representative Tlaib to visit. They hate Israel and all Jewish people, and there is nothing that can be said or done to change their minds. Minnesota and Michigan will have a hard time putting them back in office. They are a disgrace. That's what he says. Well, just minutes later, like magic, Israel announced it was barring Congresswomen, I should say, Omar and Tlaib from entering the country. Coincidence? Well, Axios reported last week that the president told his advisors that he thought Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu should bar the Congresswomen. Those views reportedly reached the top levels of the Israeli government. And sources tell CNN House Democratic leaders were told by the Israeli government yesterday that the Congresswomen would likely be barred. Democrats tried to push back. But you see how that ended up. The president, who is using the power of his office and the world stage to punish his political enemies, reacting this afternoon.
They are very anti-Jewish and they're very anti-Israel. I think it's disgraceful, the things they've said. What they've said about Israel and Jewish people is a horrible thing, and they've become the face of the Democrat Party.
He thinks it's disgraceful what the Congresswomen have said. Both are vocal critics of Israel, and both support the BDS boycott movement. But let's remember, it was the president who tweeted that those Congresswomen and two others should go back to the countries they came from. those racist words, even though every member of the so-called squad is an American citizen. It was the president who stood by while his supporters at a rally last month chanted, "Send her back," about Congresswoman Omar.
Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds.
The president didn't seem to mind what they said. In fact, he later defended the crowd as